psychotherapist and parenting educator and coach. So today is all about communication in the early toddler years, say around 1.5. So I'm thinking about my son here, some examples, so it's nice and fresh for me. So when we drop my daughter off to preschool, he sees her lunchbox and he wants to hold it all the way to the gate, and then he wants to take it from her when she's going into school. So obviously it's a no-go, she has to take it. And yes, I've bought the same lunchbox and I've got different lunchboxes and lots of options. He just wants her lunchbox. So it's obviously something to do with the attachment to her and her leaving. So he wants her lunchbox as she's going in, and he will cry fiercely. Now, my natural response would also be, like many of yours I'm sure, oh, look, I've got this other one for you, and oh, look over here, and look, let's go touch these leaves. Oh, should we go to the park? So deny and distract. And we all do it, and it's within our best intentions because we want to protect them from this pain, and it's an uncomfortable place for us to go to. We can't meet their needs, and as a parent, our instinct is to give everything we can to our children to keep them happy and safe. So in that moment, it's oh, look at this, look at this. What we can do differently is to name what's going on. So his cries, of course, are becoming louder if I'm saying, but what about this lunchbox? And here's a ball, and let's go to the park, because he's becoming frustrated. You don't understand. So it's a non-verbal communication from him, but he's screaming much louder because what he's demonstrating is, you're not listening, mummy. You don't get it. That's what I want. That thing over there. So when I shift my communication with him and I say to him, you really want the lunchbox. You want Ren's lunchbox. Immediately he shifts. Ah, she gets it. Now I feel understood. And my next part is, I'm so sorry, I can't give it to you. And the crying will start again. But this time it will be a different crying for the loss. Oh, you understand what I want, but now I can't have it. As opposed to, you don't get it, it's that, just get me that, get me that. So it's from frustration and quite a fierce tantrum to then sadness that you can meet them in, because now he's not pushing against you because you don't understand it. Now there's a comfort, that symbiotic meeting where you can come together and you can hold him chest to chest until his crying subsides, and then it's going to be a much softer way to grieve together the loss that he can't have this thing. And then he'll learn, and my son has learned that that's not what we do, over and over again. In that moment of naming it, even at that young age, from, you know, I've done this with them since newborn, but that naming of it really shifts for them because they understand so much about what you're sharing with them, even though they can't verbalize it back. And I think that's often the mistake we get into, because they can't say it, they think they can't, we assume they can't understand. But what we're doing in this moment of naming it, and this is a skill that we want to take throughout life, through our work colleagues, through our friends, especially in the teenage years for our children, when they come home and they're having this tantrum that their friend isn't playing with them anymore, and they've fallen out with this person and the boyfriend's upset them. When we come back with things logical, like, but you've got lots of other friends, or he wasn't a very nice guy anyway, and we're trying to be helpful, it infuriates them, they don't feel understood. So what we're doing in this moment of naming it is connecting through the right brain. We're connecting emotionally, so we can calm these senses and all this fight or flight response. Then we can connect with them. We can go horizontally in the brain. So now we're connecting the left side of the brain as well. So you've got to get in there emotionally. You have to name it first. Then you can start to negotiate and come up with logical outcomes of how else we can approach it. And this starts right from baby. So name it. So even if they hear a loud bang, oh, don't be so silly, that's all right. Oh, you know, that's nothing. You're dismissing them. It's, wow, that looked like it really frightened you. Oh, place it. Where would you feel frightened if you heard a really loud bang? Maybe somewhere like this. Wow, you know, start to touch the body to give them those sensations of connecting the mind and the body, so they know they come together. You know, the butterflies in the tummy, anxiety in the arms. So that simple naming of it, great practice for future, and really dissolves these big feelings. And we've literally just come from, I wish I had caught this on camera, we just came from this big family vacation. It was like 24 of us in this house with a pool. It was so lovely for my nan. It was her last request to go on this family holiday. And in the pool, my daughter had taken away a floating device, like a float thing, a rubber ring, whatever it was, from one of her cousins. And she was crying so hard for this. It's my turn, it's my turn. And her sister came along, her older sister, and said, what's going on? And she said, she's taken the float, it was my turn, I wanted it. And her older sister said to her, isn't it so hard when you really want something you can't have? And for us, we were like, oh, you know, her mum, my cousin, looked so proud, like the mothering was taking place. Here it is, stepping down into another generation. She named it for her. She met her with this empathy. And of course, it shifted. She said, yes, it is so hard. And then my daughter then picked up on it and said, oh, sorry, have the float back. And then she said, oh, it's all right, you keep it, I'll push you around on it. It was, you know, quite the moment. They don't obviously all end as well as that, and I do wish I had caught it, but at least we saw it in action, and we know that it's feeding back down into them, and they're mirroring these positive behaviours and then passing it on to their peers and their friends and their own family. So this stuff does work. Again, if you've noticed this or you start to practice it, please share and let me know how you get on, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.